Washington has standing for arms needed to end Moscow's invasion, or at least push it back. President Biden talked about the urgency of all this at the State of the Union address last week.
If anybody in this room thinks Putin will stop at Ukraine, I assure you he will not. Ukraine can stop Putin if we stand with Ukraine and provide the weapons that needs to defend itself. That is all Ukraine is asking. They're not asking for American soldiers.
CBS News senior foreign correspondent Charlie D'Agata is in London for us. He's been following all this. Charlie, President Biden is sure that Putin would not stop with Ukraine. It seems like some members of Congress seem to think maybe he will, and therefore, what's the U.S. interest in all of this? I'm curious. I think I know how this will land in Washington. I'm curious what it sounds like from the perspective of Ukraine.
Yeah, Tony, look, I was there just over a week ago, and I can tell you that this is exactly the kind of language that Ukrainian leadership, President Zelenskyy, will want to hear, and the people of Ukraine will want to hear, and it comes at a critical time. So it was to be expected, I suppose, maybe not in such strong language, but President Zelenskyy, when we were there, he held a press conference where he said, in the starkest terms, if we have the weapons, we will win. If we do not have the support, we will lose. And that was aimed squarely at the United States, that $60 billion supplementary package. He referred to it several times. And I have to tell you, the Ukrainians are in trouble. They're at one of the most vulnerable points that I have seen in now just over 2 years since the Russian invasion began.
And what's interesting, Charlie, is that just last night at the Oscars, the documentary 20 Days in Mariupol won for Best Doc. The director was emotional in receiving the award and saying, "You all are powerful people, get the truth out." But that doc is from 2022. It's gripping, it's traumatic. I know you mentioned you were recently in the country. Describe to us what you saw and how consistent that reality is.
Yeah, well, Mstislav Chernov, you know, I've met him several times along the battlefield at one point or another, and that was incredible work that he did, and he continues to do. Now, when we went, we tried to get as close as we could to the front lines, which in this case is just about 1.5 miles away from Bakhmut. And as we went there, you know, I've traveled to many of these areas that are coming under attack, and you know the drill. We were told to get into one car. We had to drive very fast over the High Line. While we were there, the place came under attack. We literally had to go around to the side of a building, so we were outside the direction of the attack, and that was just over the brow from Bakhmut. Now, I have been in Bakhmut. We stayed in Bakhmut. And along these cities and towns and villages like Avdiivka, where we have also been, these are places that were Ukrainian territory, you know, 8 months, 10 months, a year ago. And now they're in Russian hands. And in Chasiv Yar, where we were, it was getting pummeled. And the Ukrainians are telling us, like, we can't fight toe-to-toe. We don't have enough artillery. And more importantly than that, you know, when they're talking about the artillery that they need, it's having an impact on morale, because Ukrainian soldiers don't want to go into essentially a suicide mission when they're outgunned by Russian forces.
Charlie D'Agata for us. Charlie, with first-hand experience in Ukraine. Charlie, thank you very much.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you.